Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics. In this video, I'd like to discuss whether or not Boris Johnson will even become Prime Minister, even if he wins the Conservative leadership contest as expected. But first, if you find yourself enjoying the video, then please consider clicking the like button and subscribing to the channel. So, as I talk now, today is the day that the results of the Conservative Party leadership are announced. It's definitely Tuesday. Now, maybe they've already been announced as you watch this video. Now, all going smoothly, for Boris Johnson at least, the idea is that we will know who the leader is today and that Theresa May will tomorrow visit Buckingham Palace to officially step down as Prime Minister. The winner of the leadership contest will then visit the palace to be asked by the Queen to form a new government, and so a new Prime Minister is dumped on our lap. Now, up until today, I'd have thought that that was pretty certain. But as I've explained in other videos, the Prime Minister is chosen by Parliament. Yes, the Queen appoints them, but it isn't her choice. All this nonsense about other parties saying how undemocratic it is for 100,000 Tory party members to choose our next Prime Minister is just party politics. Labour are saying it now, but it was the Conservatives saying it the last time a new Labour Prime Minister was appointed in the same way. Now, at the moment, if you add up all the Conservative MPs and the DUP MPs who are supporting them, then the new Tory leader will have a very, very slender majority. And this remains the parliamentary arithmetic, and if that stays like that, then the winner of the contest today becomes the Prime Minister tomorrow. That's all there is to it. How long they remain in that position, of course, depends on what they do. I've already discussed the notion that if Boris Johnson wins, as seems all but certain, then he has threatened to take us out of the EU against the wishes of Parliament if necessary. Under such circumstances, a number of Conservative MPs have vowed to stop him by supporting a vote of no confidence. More than enough to sink him, in fact. But that is something to worry about come September. It would give Boris Johnson the remains of summer to sort out a plan of action, as Parliament is due to begin its recess at the end of this week. But there is an extra fly in the ointment for him. There are reported to be, and I only saw this morning, there are reported to be up to half a dozen Conservative MPs in talks with the Liberal Democrats. Now, these are just rumours. They've been wrong before, they're going to be wrong again. But there is an element of plausibility about this. Just as with Labour, the Conservatives have been lurching away from the centre. The polarisation of the main parties has in many ways mirrored the polarisation of Brexit, perhaps even informed it. Now, party members of the two main parties do tend to be further along their respective political wing than the bulk of their voters. I'm aware of this. I'm reasonably far along the left wing, but at the same time, I know that most of the voters for the Labour Party are not. They're more centre-left. And parliamentary party members also tend to be closer to the centre as well than the general membership. But the Parliamentary Conservative Party has been lurching ever towards the far right as the ERG have hijacked it using Brexit as their Trojan horse. Now, with the rise of the Brexit Party as well as a threat to their electoral strength, even relatively moderate senior Conservatives have felt the need to shore up their flank, so to speak, and have abandoned the centre to do so. But there are a huge number of Conservative MPs who occupy that centre and centre-right ground. Most of them have just been despairing of the situation and will take little positive action because their parliamentary seat at the end of the day is more important to them than any principles they may pretend to have. But there are conviction politicians in those ranks, and there may indeed be half a dozen of them who might come to the conclusion that the Liberal Democrats fit their political philosophy better than this more extreme right-wing Conservative Party. And don't think of it as maybe half a dozen Conservative MPs risking their seat. There may be such MPs who are not intending to stand in the next general election anyway, getting ready to retire. They don't care. They can defect, not even worrying about who would win the next general election. Put simply, if Boris Johnson is announced as the new leader today, and there really are half a dozen Conservative MPs considering joining the Liberal Democrats, then the next 24 hours could be explosive. If they defect to the Lib Dems after the announcement, Boris Johnson has no majority. So what then? In this case, Theresa May cannot resign as Prime Minister. Or, well, she can, but it would plunge us into a serious constitutional situation. The Queen cannot, under those circumstances, appoint Boris Johnson as Prime Minister. He would be leader of the Conservative Party, yes, but no nearer getting the coveted keys to number 10 Downing Street. Parliament would then be faced with something of a quandary. It would still have Theresa May as Prime Minister, and she didn't just fall out of favour with her own party. Her quite wicked domestic policies have earned the ire of most opposition parties as well. But in the absence of anyone obvious, she must still remain Prime Minister. It's almost certain that Parliament would have to cancel or at least postpone the summer recess to sort this out. Many MPs would want a government of national unity. That would mean a coalition of parties that would not normally work together, such as happened during the Second World War. Only this time without anyone with the force of personality to be an obvious choice to lead it. Jeremy Corbyn wouldn't sit in a cabinet under a leader that wasn't Labour, and none of the other party leaders would want Jeremy Corbyn to lead it. In fact, the only way it would work is for all the moderate MPs to ditch their own leaders, completely ignoring the party leadership structure, and form their own parliamentary leaderships of backbenchers and maybe the odd principled frontbencher that can compromise. In such circumstances, I've no doubt that Jeremy Corbyn would trigger an immediate vote of no confidence in Theresa May's leadership. I mean, he might do that anyway, even if Boris Johnson does become Prime Minister, just to test the water. But if Johnson isn't made Prime Minister due to defections, then this motion is quite likely to succeed, actually. Parliament certainly aren't going to go off for summer then. They would then have 2 weeks to get behind another Prime Minister, or it's general election time. Now, all of this is speculative, of course it is. It depends on whether or not those rumours are credible. And even if they are credible, those Conservative MPs may still decide to wait and see. They've not made a decision yet. But with a string of Conservative ministers all queuing up to resign the second Boris Johnson is confirmed as leader, and with at least one having already done so, it's not impossible to think that there are a handful who'd quit the party altogether, as, like I say, if they're going to be standing down at the next election anyway, why not? There have already been a number of MPs quit or be ejected from the party. The currently vacant Brecon seat in Wales still needs contesting. That was held by the Conservatives. There is a belief that the Conservatives would probably not win it back this time. In addition, another Conservative MP has just recently been charged with serious sexual offences and has lost the whip already as a result. That means they are not a Conservative MP because they've been kicked from the party. Of course, they may still vote with the party. That would be up to them. So the Conservatives have a razor-thin majority with the DUP support who will back them. That's not speculative, that is a fact. That gives a huge amount of power to every single remaining Tory MP. And there are a lot of them that are deeply, deeply unhappy with the way their party is moving. But we won't have long to wait to find out. It's going to be an interesting 24 hours, as I say, and a very tense one for a certain loudmouth Etonian. So I hope you found the video interesting. If you'd like to support the channel further, then please click on the Patreon link to find out. And until next time, I'll see you later.